Oh, I think we're live. Finally. Sorry. I was like, how do I go live? I like stepped away and then I came back and now I'm live. So I'm going to go through this. Some people were messaging me and saying, will there be a replay? Will there be a replay? And yes, there will always be a replay to these things. So thanks everybody for joining me. Say something. Let me know that you're here. We're going to talk about this because I had a conversation. Somebody texted me, can't take the call right now. Okay, no problem. They can catch it later. Okay, so I was speaking to a client the other day. I mean, this is like a chronic problem. When I say it's a chronic problem, the overthinking phenomenon, I mean, it's like a lot. So many people are doing it, right? And I was talking to a client the other day, and I'd given this person an assignment several weeks ago to, hey, Keishani, I'd given this person an assignment several weeks ago to do like a couple of assignments, right? And then I tried texting them. As a one-on-one client, I tried texting them, hey, Dr. V. I tried texting them. I tried, like messaging them. They weren't responding back to me. This is a one-on-one client. So they're paying premium prices for me to bug them about this assignment. And they weren't just doing the assignment. And then finally I got them on the phone and he said, I couldn't do it. He was like, I started to just overthink it. Hey, Lisa, I started to just overthink it. And I'm like, okay, this is absolutely an issue. I recognize that. Like, this is a problem. The reason I'm going to give you the reason why we overthink, and then we're going to dive into some other principles like around the mindset of overthinking, and then hopefully I can give you some ways to not overthink in the future. All right. The reason why we overthink, and this is fundamentally the problem, like when you get down to the nitty-gritty, when we strip everything away, the fundamental reason why people overthink is a concept of good enough or not being good enough. There is something inside of you that says, I am not good enough, hey, Camille, to show up as blank. I am not good enough to do X. Like, I'm not good enough to do it in the capacity that is expected, whether it's in the market or by the masses, like they, that proverbial they, like they're going to make fun of me, they're going to judge me, like whoever they are, right? So the concept of overthinking really does stem from not being good enough. So we have to tackle it from that root of not being good enough. Like, there's something about your self-worth that makes you believe that you are not ready or you are not good enough to actually do it. And so that's when the overthink happens. One of the reasons why when I have any classes that I do, like long-standing classes, whether it's platform, whether it's like a week-long challenge, whether it's, a mini course that I have, the reason why I make the assignments and the tasks back to back to back to back, and I don't leave for a lot of space in between, is because of the concept of overthinking. People will overthink if you give them time to do it. Right? Hello, poetry_urban bush sister. I love that. Yeah, so people will overthink if you give them the time and space to do it. And so one of the reasons why I don't allow for like a lot of breaks in between, different assignments that I give is because if I give you that time and space, you will out-talk yourself into doing the actual assignment. So the more you can be consistent, the more you can just pile it on. Like, and I'm not giving you busy work. Like, I actually give you work that's going to be beneficial for where it is you're trying to go. But the more you can kind of go from one thing to the next, the more evidence you are building up in your body, in your mind, in your mental capacity, the more evidence you're building that, oh, actually, I can complete one task and I can go to the next thing, and I can go to the next thing, and I can go to the next thing. I was watching a video earlier of Dan Sullivan, and Dan Sullivan, who's a speaker, he's a coach, and he says, 80% gets results. 80% gets results. 100%, you're still thinking about it. And this is such a good concept because so many times people say to me, well, I want to get it perfect, or I want to get it to the place where, it's 100% done before I do anything. And I'm like, no. Like, if we wait for that, one, you're going to be waiting a long time, because when is something ever like 100% done? Like, it's complete, it's done, it's finished, I don't want to go back to it ever again. When does that happen? Because in my experience, that has never happened in any course I've created, any blog post I've done, in any video that I've done. There's never been a time where I'm like, I am 100% satisfied with this, right? No, 80%. So he says 80%, you got to learn to release things at 80%. One, because if you stay stuck in your head, you're going to keep overthinking it, right? You're not actually getting any valuable feedback from the market, from your audience, of whether or not this is actually a good thing. Hey, Ann. Hey, Shayna. Hey, Ed. Good to see you guys here. Thanks so much for joining. Yeah, so you you have to learn the art and the discipline of releasing things even when they're not 100% complete. When I was writing my dissertation, that was one of the things that I really, really had to get my mind around, because a lot of the times, and I work with a lot of people who are PhDs or people who are getting their PhDs, and so they're writing dissertations. What happens when you go into a doctoral program is you think you are going to save the world, you're going to change the world, you're going to change everyone's life with all of your work, and you will. But the problem is that when you're writing the dissertation, you are trying to do the absolute most. And if you knew me, if you followed me when I was getting my doctorate, I graduated in 2017. But if you knew me when I was doing this, I was doing the absolute least. Like, I was like, what is the least amount of doctoral work that I can do so that I can get out of this? Because and I had classmates who, like, I graduated, I like sped up my track. Like, it was a 4-year program. I did it in like 2.5 years, like almost 3 years, like 2.75 years. Because I was like, I'm not staying here for 4 years. I'm going to get this done. I would fight with my dissertation chairs because they'd be like, you need to write more. And I'm like, I don't want to write more. This is the end. This is the end of what I'm writing. If you can tell me what else needs to go in here, I will write that. But as far as I'm concerned, this is finished. This dissertation is done. So I think I probably have one of the shortest dissertations on the planet, simply because by the time I had finished writing it, I was over. I was over it. I was like already on to the next thing. And I learned this because I was building my business at the same time that I was getting my doctorate. I was working with clients. I was doing all the things. I didn't have time to sit there and try to pour over my dissertation to make it like the culmination of my life's work. To me, it was an introduction to the work that I would continue to do, right? So I wasn't going to sit here and write a 275-page dissertation that was only going to be introductory to everything that else I was going to learn in my career as a coach and as an online entrepreneur. My dissertation happened to be on online entrepreneurship, right? So true. Can you link it, please? Can I link the dissertation? Yeah, I can. I think I can. I have to find it. I finished faster when I did the least. Do the least. Right. That's always my my advice to people who are going to get their doctorate. Do the least, because the thing is, and I'm not saying do the least like be lazy. I'm saying like put forth the effort to just get it finished, right? You have to learn to finish things. The art of finishing things is a discipline. A lot of people, like, let's take January 1st. A lot of people start a workout program on January 1st, right? They start a workout program, and then what happens on like January 21st? They're done. People start things all the time. People have a great ability to begin. It's finishing it that they don't have the discipline of learning. And so that's what I'm saying, like, learn the art of finishing something, because that will stop the overthinking. The overthinking happens because, one, you don't know what, like, there's a element of unknown. Like, I don't know what's going to happen if I finish this and I release it. What are people going to say, right? So there's the fear of the unknown, but there's also the fear of failure. Like, I could finish it and I could do it and I could fail at it. But those unknown feelings, like the fear of the unknown or the fear of failure, are just fears that are really unrealized. Like, you don't even know if those are true, but you have made them true. And that caused you to continue to overthink and continue to stay in your head. And then nothing ever gets finished. And when nothing ever gets finished, you are teaching your body and teaching your mind that you are not a person who knows how to complete a task. You are not a person who knows how to follow through. And I know, like, all the people that I work with, all of my clients, I know 100% that they are definitely finishers of tasks, because the overwhelming majority of them have at least one college degree. I think like 95% of my clients and the people that I work with have at least one college degree. Over 80% of them have a master's degree, and then almost 50% of them have a doctoral degree. So that means that you do know how to finish something because you finished a degree, right? So I always say, like, you have to learn how to transfer your ability to finish that into stuff in your business. Like, if you want to create a course, if you want to create a program, if you want to, have a retreat or do a live event, like, that's great. I love the ideas. We have to figure out how to go from idea to execution as quickly as possible, because that eliminates the overthinking. So that's the first thing, is that you have to do it as quickly as you possibly can. Don't give yourself time. People, they often overestimate the amount of time that it's going to take, but underestimate the amount of effort that it's going to require. So people, for example, will say, oh, in 3 years, I'm going to quit my job, right? That's what they'll say, in 3 years. And I'm like, it really doesn't take that long. Like, you can quit your job in 3 months. Like, we can get you to a place where you are making all kinds of money and doing all kinds of things in 3 months. But if you're not showing up for that, I just almost fell on myself. If you're not showing up for that, then no, it's not going to happen. And if you tell yourself it's going to take 3 years, then it will in fact take you 3 years. So you have to get used to collapsing time and space, not allowing it to be this lengthy process. It is process, but it doesn't have to be this lengthy process. Learn what you need to learn so that you can execute quicker. And sometimes we have to start with these little micro tasks, right? And this is why I love morning routines. If you guys want to know my morning routine, please let me know, because I'm happy to come on and just kind of share what that kind of looks like. But like, that's why I'm such a fan of like morning routines and sticking to a morning routine, because it's the art of discipline. It's not so much like, oh, I love to make my bed, or, I love to brush my teeth. Like, it's not so much those things. It's just the art of discipline. Like, if I can be successful at being disciplined in this very small task that really, doesn't mean a lot, but if I can be successful at these small tasks, I can be successful at other tasks. I can be successful at bigger things, because I'm just transferring things that I'm learning in those micro tasks into bigger things, right? And then we learn the discipline. We then begin to teach ourselves that we actually are people who know how to follow through on something. Because remember, it's that follow through piece that really gets people stuck. Because if you're doing everything that I want you to do, like this is what I was telling my client, I said, if you did every single thing, if I said, do this live stream, say it just like this, hop on the camera, take that picture, go to that person, email that person, send this to that person over there, to post this on social media. If you did every single thing that I told you to do, in 3 months, you would be well on the way, if not, at a very, very distant from where you currently are. The problem is I will give people strategies, and this is why the strategy really isn't, that's not the sauce. Like, the sauce is not the strategy. The sauce is what's in the mind. The sauce is the mindset. The sauce is, can you continue to self-regulate to a place that puts you in a position to be successful versus the overthinking process, right? Because the strategy is the same. The people they don't execute the strategy because it's that art of discipline, because it takes a lot. And if you follow me on Instagram, I was talking about identity a few weeks ago. It's a new identity that you have to develop. And that new identity, it plays with you. Like, it plagues your mind. If you're very used to being an employee, and now all of a sudden I'm getting you to do things that entrepreneurs do, right? That is a complete betrayal of self. Like, if your self says, I'm an employee, I've always had a job, I've always had a boss, to now become your own boss and to now, tell yourself what to do, is a betrayal of yourself. And you will not betray yourself in favor of the thing that you want if it makes you feel like you're not being in alignment with who you believe you are. And if who you believe you are as an employee, then you will self-sabotage every step of the way. Even though you want to be a successful entrepreneur, even though you want to have a successful business, even though you could be very, very good at being a successful entrepreneur, if you don't identify as one, you will re-regulate yourself back to being an employee. Path of least resistance, yes. Change the quality. Oh, thank you, Anne, for letting people know that. So timely. I've been overthinking since January and still here. Okay, well, we're not going to overthink anymore. So number one, like I said, you have to go from idea to execution as quickly as possible. Don't give yourself enough time to think. Don't give yourself enough time to stew. Like, and this is why having like regular rhythms and routines. So inside a platform, my program that I run for 6 months, we were talking about time management and really getting disciplined with our time, because we don't realize how much time we're wasting doing nothing. So if you can account for every single hour of your day, and I'm not saying that every single hour is like hustle and grind mode, because I'm not about that life. That is not the vibe. But if you can account for every single hour of the day, meaning that you know what you're doing every single hour, then you don't give yourself the time and space to sit and stew and overthink. Been working on, good. I'm so glad you've been working on that. Hi, Dr. Yvette. Hi, Letitia. Yes. Okay. What do you mean by if you don't identify yourself as an entrepreneur? So identity, right? The cells in your body. So we're going to get a little metaphysical, a little scientific, a little spiritual, a little everything, because we know that's kind of my jam. So if you identify yourself as an employee, right? Meaning that's all you know yourself to be. And for a long time, for many of us, that is what we knew ourselves to be, right? Even before we graduated high school, we knew that we would get a job, right? So already before you graduate high school, you're pre-programmed into being an employee somewhere, at some time in some place down the road. So you're pre-programmed in life to be an employee, because that's the education system for the majority of us, unless you come from a background of entrepreneurs where entrepreneurship was very regular. And it was not for me, right? Like, my dad was a career military man. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so I did not have entrepreneurs in my life that showed me how normalized that could be. I lived in a very middle-class neighborhood, went to school with middle-class kids who had middle-class parents who worked, whether they worked for the government or they worked in corporate or whatever, like they still worked, they were employees. So even before I graduated high school, I had a preconceived notion in my mind that I was going to be somebody's employee at some time. So when I went to college to get a business degree, I was getting a business degree to what? To stack my resume so that I could do what? Get a job. When I got out of college, what did I do? I got a job, right? So from like birth until I started my business, really, it was a pre-programming of self-identifying myself. Even though I was good, even though I had great leadership skills, even though I was exceptionally talented and very intelligent, and many of you are the same thing. So I'm saying this because I know many of you can identify with this. I was very much a self-starter. I was very much a high achiever. I was all of those things, the same thing that many of you guys are, right? I was all of those things. Even though I was all of those things, there was still that part of me that always knew that I was going to get a job at some point. So when I went to go get a job, I was in a job, and then I was in another job, and another job, and another job. And I was in several jobs. Now, in the jobs that I had, they were all great. I loved them all. I just knew that they were not the highest and best expression of myself, right? And because entrepreneurship was not something that I was taught or that was regular in my life, I didn't even know that that was an option for me. So when you self-identify as I'm an employee, this is always what I'm used to, transitioning into entrepreneurship that requires a completely different mindset. For example, when you are used to being an employee, you are very used to being on time for things. You're very used to having somebody tell you what to do. You're very used to, this concept of, even though you could be a salaried employee, but like the concept of these are the time frames that I have to work. You're very used to like things have to be done almost perfectly. So this is how that perfectionism can be a problem, because things have to be done almost perfectly. Otherwise you get fired, right? So those mindset things make you a great employee. They do not make you a good entrepreneur. They do not at all. Because in entrepreneurship, you will fail a lot. As a matter of fact, I recommend failing. Fail fast and fail forward. Those are the two things I say. Fail fast, fail forward. The sooner you can recognize whether something works in the market or not, and that, you may not think it's a failure, but that's it's a failure. This product failed. This idea failed. This blog post didn't go viral. Those are, micro failures. Fail fast and fail forward. Like in entrepreneurship, you have to learn that what you perceive as failures are actually lessons that are helping you get to the next step and to the next step and to the next step. Whereas as an employee, those failures could get somebody fired. And it's very, very different. So if you are not used to the mindset of being a successful entrepreneur, self-regulating, telling yourself what to do, making sure that you are in charge of your schedule. I don't work before noon. Like this is like when I was an employee, I had to get up every morning at like 7. I had to be at a job at 8:30, whatever the case is. Now, I don't work before noon. Like I'm not taking any phone calls before noon. I'm not like now, and not that I sleep in, I like to ease into my day, right? And I learned that when I became an entrepreneur, because I learned that was my flow, right? But no one's telling me, oh, I have to get up at this time in the morning. You have to get up at 5. You have to do, no one's telling me that. I'm regulating that. But that comes with practice and it comes with time. So if you don't identify yourself as a successful entrepreneur, you will never become one, because you're going to be waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. You're going to be waiting for somebody to, exchange time for money. And that's not how entrepreneurship always works. And so if you identify yourself as an employee, and you may not even recognize it, it's just that it's so integrated into the memory of the cells in your body that you may not recognize it until you're like, why is entrepreneurship so difficult for me? Well, it's because it requires an entirely new identity. You have to become somebody completely new. Gotcha, Jane. I'll do the morning routine. I'll try to come back maybe tomorrow and do that. Let's see. You're in Levi's account. Oh, that must be AJ. You're in Levi's account. That's so funny. How to get their mindset, like creating your own. Yes. Mm-hmm. Hi, Kiana. And was for the first time really ready to stop. So I wrote a resignation letter. Yeah, listen. Okay, this is the other thing too, because people ask how do you know when it's time to leave your job? I know that there's many schools of thought. I was not the person that was like, I'm going to save up 6 months worth of, I'm not doing that. That was just not for me. I wanted to get out of there as quickly as I possibly could. And really it's exactly that, T. You wake up and you're just like, I am disgusted with this and I just don't want to do it anymore. And then that's when you start to kind of pick up the pace. All right. So back to the concept of overthinking. We overthink because it's a self-worth issue that makes us think that we are not good enough. So we have to dive deep into that knowledge of like, you have to affirm to yourself, you are in fact good enough. And what's interesting, like I said in my email, is that people who overthink the most are the people who are the most qualified to do the thing. Like they are the smartest, the brightest, the most talented, the most gifted at the thing that they want to do. But for some reason, there is a self-worth issue. And a lot of that is because you haven't been validated in this capacity, right? As an entrepreneur, as a coach, as a consultant, as a whatever, you haven't been validated in that capacity yet. So your self-worth there hasn't fully been formed. So give yourself time to love on yourself and to be compassionate with yourself. Do affirmations that help you, with your self-worth, that you are worthy of this, that you're worthy of the things that you desire, and that people want to get to know you and people want to learn from you, and they're ready for you and all of those things, because it's a self-worth issue. The second thing is to make sure that you're not giving yourself too much time and space. An idle mind is the devil's playground, as the saying goes. Now, I don't know if it's the devil's playground. I mean, I guess it could be, but I don't know if it's the devil's playground, but I definitely think that when you have an idle mind, meaning you're giving yourself more time and space than you should, that you are giving yourself an opportunity for all of those little doubtlets and those little fear-based thoughts to creep in and to take root. The quicker you can get back to action, the faster you can begin to create evidence for yourself that in fact you are good at this, right? So, for example, if you are creating a program, if you're creating a course, right? Let's just say that you want to create an online course. Great. Create an online course. Put it to market. Don't reject yourself before the market rejects you. Create it, put it out there, and then let people tell you whether or not it's good. And here's the other thing you have to remember. So remember I talked about my dissertation and how like when I was writing my dissertation, I was like very over it. And I was like, we're not doing this forever. I'm going to be very over this. The reason why is because I knew that that was not going to be the pinnacle of all of the work that I was going to be doing in my lifetime. It was only an introduction. If you look at the courses or the programs that you create right now, those, you have to look at them as like, this is the best that I can create with the current body of work and the current knowledge that I have. In a year's time, it's going to be better. In 5 years' time, it's definitely going to be better. And in 10 years, it's going to be significantly better. You might be in a completely different place in 10 years. But what you're trying to do is try to make, when I say you, I mean proverbially, what a lot of people do is they try to make the first thing the best thing. The first thing that you create, program, product, the first book you write, the first conference you host, like what the first live stream that you do, the first blog post, the first social media post, the first photo shoot, the first of anything should be the worst of everything. Hear me. The first of everything should be the worst, or the first of anything should be the worst of everything. Everything that you do after the first time should be better. Right? But if you don't do it the first time, then you're never going to get better. So you have to get over the overthinking part and actually put stuff out there so that people can respond to you, so that you can help people. Remember, 80% gets results. 80% gets results, 100% you're still thinking about it. And if you're still thinking about it, then it's not happening. The market is going to tell you. The market is going to dictate whether or not it works, whether or not it doesn't work. If you fail fast, and you get over those initial failures, it helps you because you realize, oh, this isn't the end of the world. It's just telling me that this doesn't work and I'll try something new, right? I'll just try something new. That's how you have to do that. Great point. Thank you. Yes, please write it down. I don't know what you're writing down, but I'm glad that you're writing it down. You have to remember that your current vantage point is based off of your current body of work, your current knowledge, your current experience. And that body of work, that knowledge and that experience grows over time. Like your business should not be, if my business is today where my business was when I started it in 2016, I would be in pretty bad shape. That would be terrible, right? But I had to launch and launch again 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 and again and again and again. I don't know how many times I've launched things over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, but I've launched several things. And every single time I learn something new, and every single time I get better, and every single time my faith grows, and every single time I serve more people, and every single time I make more money, and every single time I know that I am just reaffirming how good I really am because I just keep learning. But if I don't give myself the opportunity to learn, then I'm not giving myself the opportunity to grow, and then it's not going to get any better. And 5 years from now, you're going to be stuck in the same exact place because you didn't launch the first thing. And then people have so many ideas. I mean, I am a person who has idea after idea after idea after idea. I have on my whiteboard right now, I literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 ideas that have yet to be executed. They've been staring at me in the face for the past probably 6 months, right? And they're staring at me, and that's fine. I'm okay with that, right? Because I have other things that I'm working on, and I'm okay with that. But like, if I don't release things, then it doesn't give me space to release new things, right? If I don't release current ideas, then I don't give myself space to have new ideas. Like holding on to things is not helpful. Like holding on to an idea, like if you've held on to the same idea for a year, that's bad. I'm just gonna say that is bad. You should not be holding on to an idea for a year. Like you should be executing on in some capacity. I'm not saying it has to be, sometimes we have big visions and that big vision does take time to execute properly. Like there are stepping stones to getting there. But like if you're not working at it along the way and you have the same exact idea and you haven't done anything about it, you're in pretty bad shape. And we have to get you out of that and get you to a place where we're beginning to execute on some of these things. You have to learn to finish, learn the art of finishing. Finish something, finish one small thing, finish one, social media post, finish one program or one course, and then launch it into the world. Finish, one email sequence. Finish something so that you can teach yourself that you are actually good at this, that you know how to finish tasks that you have, because it creates more evidence in your body when that happens. I just look at my whiteboard to the right and it looks similar. Yes, well, hopefully, Dr. Yvette, we are going to be executing and developing and launching some of those ideas. Holding on to ideas is like having a bowel movement problem. Yes, it is like constipation because it doesn't give you, like, that's a very good analogy. It doesn't give you, like, if you just were constipated forever, right? And then you just kept eating and eating and eating and eating. Eventually, you're just going to get backed up and you're not going to be able to eat anymore. And then you're going to feel sick. And we wonder why, we have so much anxiety in our bodies or we have so many problems in ourselves. It's because we're not releasing some of these energetic things that are required for us to truly ascend into the people that we're meant to be in this world. So serve at higher capacities. Number one, just like I said, comes overthinking, work on the self-worth stuff. Number two, learn to go from idea to execution as quickly as possible. Don't give yourself so much time and space that you give yourself the opportunity to overthink, right? Number three, I would say find, systems and strategies that you can plug and play, right? A lot of the times people don't know how to do something, and then that I don't know how to do something becomes a reason for them to overthink. We live in 2021. There is literally an infinite amount of information. I'm not saying it's all good information. I'm just saying there's information to do the thing that you probably want to do, right? There is information that will allow for you to launch a business, create a course, write a book, host a retreat, build a car, start a garden. I mean, whatever it is you want to do, there is information available to you. So the excuse of I don't know how is just you giving yourself some reason to self-sabotage, because that's not real. Like that's not an actual thing. Like there are many ways that you can hire a coach, you can hire a consultant, you can hire whatever, like a trainer. You can hire people to teach you how to do these things. Anything that you want to do, there is information available and people that are wanting to help you. So let's not use the excuse of I don't know how. So find the information and then just plug and play the strategy, but you have to show up and do the strategy. So going back to my client earlier who did not want to do this assignment that I gave him, and I said, it's interesting because people want to be famous until you have to do what famous people do. And you know what famous people do? Show up, do the thing that's going to get them famous or going to keep them famous or going to keep them in the public eye or going to keep them relevant to the paradigm of the people that they're trying to serve, right? So everybody wants the product. I say this all the time, but don't want the process. People want the product of the money, of the bank account, of the fame, of the recognition, of the, social media verified account, of the best-selling title. They want all of those credentials, but they don't actually want to do the things that are going to get them that, because they stay stuck in the I'm overthinking it. You have to learn to you can get into the space of overthinking and then recognize right away, oh, I'm overthinking this, which probably tells me that I should stop, and then I can go on to the next thing. So freeing, good. I'm glad that was freeing for you. The first of anything should be the worst of everything. Yes, you're welcome, Marva. Okay, so anyway, I hope that was helpful. And just, I want you, this is your assignment that I'm giving you. I want you to think about what are you currently overthinking, right? And I want you to write down to yourself, why am I overthinking this? And literally go into your journal and say, why am I spending so much time overthinking this? Meaning, what are the things that are holding me back from actually doing it? Is it because I think I don't know what I'm doing? Is it because I'm afraid of failure? Is it because I don't think I'm good enough? Like, find the root cause of the overthinking, because a lot of the times we will masquerade it as I don't have time, which is not true. Like, I know people, sorry if you hear like banging, they're doing construction behind my house. We will masquerade what the real issue is, when the real issue is really an issue of self, and an issue of like I said, that self-worth piece, an issue of worthiness. That's really usually what it is. But we will masquerade it as I don't have time, or I don't know how, or all of these things that, good Lord, what are you doing? We'll masquerade it as those things when really it's not those things at all. And so I just want you to sit with yourself and ask yourself, are you showing up for yourself as your highest and best, and in the highest level and the highest capacity that you can in this season? If your answer is no, then that means that we have to buckle up, buttercup, because we have a lot of stuff to do, right? Get on the good foot. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. So I wasn't talking to myself today. I love you all so much. I'll be back. I'm going to do more of these YouTube live streams because I feel like these are easier for me to get done than anything else. So yes, I will be back. I'll do my morning routine probably next, and I have a whole list of other things and questions that people have sent me via text message, and so I will be able to address some of those as well. Text me if you have any questions, and I will see you guys later. Bye.